So now that we have done a collaborative writing activity, and that displays, it's perfect. So, on to our next thing, which is students love to learn in interactive environments. I teach every day using a Promethean ActiveBoard, which you're seeing here. It's an interactive whiteboard that lets me demonstrate writing concepts in real time for students to see. It also includes basic whiteboard things like writing on the board and highlighting and text and etc. But you can create interactivity in your classroom through innovative technology like the ActiveBoard, which is an interactive whiteboard, learning response systems. There are lots of different technologies, even basic ones like giving students a computer to complete writing assignments that I have found really helpful. So here are a few examples of the writing activities that I use in the active classroom. So this is one actually using learning response systems. I would drag out a word, let's say person, and then I ask students, is this a general or a specific word? So tell me, is person a general or specific word? General. Yeah, so it looks like we have general, and then this could also be done with voting. We would see the different answers, so that would be one example. And then another activity that I did was for Latin and Greek roots. Then students might wonder, well, these are words from bazillions of years ago. Why do I need to learn them? Well, this is an activity that kind of makes it, it's in two parts. So firstly, I might use my shapes tool to get a line, and then have students connect what photo means, that's light, and kaput is head, and phobia is fear, and belly roar. So you firstly connect them, and then what is kind of fun, this is an activity that I have a lot of fun doing, is that you can make new words. So for instance, photo kaput, phobia. So you could do it either that students create new words that don't exist, or you could actually have them find the different ones to create words that do. But photophobia, let's say I created that one, and maybe it means fear of headlights, or maybe lightheaded fear, or it could mean a few different things. So that's kind of fun activity, dragging the different roots and combining them to make new words, or to make existing words. So if it weren't for technology, I wouldn't be here talking today for a few different reasons. Firstly, technology sparked my love for writing. When I was 6 years old, my mom got me a laptop computer, and then instead of laboriously scribbling out, because I had really bad handwriting, I was able to write pages and pages each day. And eventually, my love for writing also meant perfecting my ability to write by hand, and now I write better than pretty much everyone in my family, as far as handwriting goes, which is pretty cool. So technology sparked my love for writing, and I think that when your classroom is equipped with the right tools, your students can experience the same excitement. So giving your students access to a computer to compose some writing assignments can be a good idea. Firstly, and I think that this one's important, is because this is the 21st century, and the likelihood is that students will be going out into the workforce and using a computer there. And so having at least some knowledge of computers and technology skills is a really important thing for getting a job. And now, as far as writing goes, I did talk about how interactivity and having an audience of peers is really important. So what if your students want an audience beyond their teacher? No offense. I actually know of a service called ePals, and it's basically a kind of an educational networking site. And so to teach, I first think about what is interesting to me as a learner. And I think that that's really important. What makes learning special for me? And as teachers, you want to ask yourself those questions, because what makes learning special for you and what helps you remember it, those same things can be applied in your classroom. So I like being able to use what I learn. I'm generally a pretty practical person. I like things that I do have a purpose. In fact, seem more relevant to me when I incorporate them into a creative project. So for instance, I find it easier to process new information if I'm reading for inspiration or looking for ideas to include in stories, poems, or blog entries. So here is the Bloom's taxonomy. I actually found two different versions. So it's usually pretty much knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. And so a strong pyramid, I think, should have a strong foundation. And so, or to use a different analogy, get many different slices of the pizza. Project-based learning is an excellent way to accomplish that. So as I said before, when I think about what I like to do as a learner, I like to do things for a project that has a purpose, so I have purpose in mind. Certain projects could introduce new web research skills, plus analysis and evaluation of those sources. So giving students a certain amount of freedom to find their own sources is a good one. Also use creative writing. So creative writing can be used to reach the highest levels of Bloom's taxonomy. Technology helps. Web 2.0 makes reaching higher levels of learning easier and more effective. Kill two birds with one stone. Actually, that one I don't really like because it's a little violent, but and then I thought of kill two students with one stone, and that was much worse, so I stuck with that analogy. Technology tools have made reaching different taxonomy levels easier. So I've heard a lot of people talk about reaching one level, reaching this level, but I think that you can actually reach many different levels at the same time. So here are some right to learn ideas. Write about a current event in the first person. So writing to learn can be used really across the curriculum. So for instance, for current events or history, you could write about the same event from two different perspectives. So let's say students are learning about the American Revolution history class. Then you can go make it relevant in writing by saying, maybe, why don't you write about a battle in the American Revolution from the point of view of a British soldier and the point of view of an American soldier? Or why don't you write about Alexander Hamilton from his perspective and the point of view of his dog? Was it cat? I'm not sure. But you can use kind of interesting different perspectives, a fish and a cat, maybe. So the Bloom connection here is knowledge with current events, synthesis, different points of view, and creation with writing. Choose a topic you want to become an expert in and create weekly blog posts about things you learn. So maybe ask students, what do you want to be when you grow up? And have students research that area. So for instance, let's say somebody wants to become an astronaut. Then maybe they do research on NASA and the different projects that they do. And they could write weekly blog posts about NASA. So the Bloom connection here is knowledge and comprehension, information about the topic, analysis, opinions about that information, plus creation in the form of writing. Write poems that represent new vocabulary words, and then have your classmates guess which word inspired the poem. So I did this one myself, and that's knowledge, application, creation. I did this one for the word insolent. She would not listen, simply screamed, while others stared in shock. She put her mother in the pantry, locking every lock. She did not do her sums at all. She made fun of her aunt whenever asked to do something. Her favorite word was can't. She would have continued if she hadn't packed her trunk and set sail on a caravel, which promptly sank. So a caravel, by the way, is a sailing ship. So yeah, I like writing poems. I love writing. And vocabulary is something, even though I like vocabulary, it can be kind of dry, just looking at a list of words and memorizing them, their definitions. So you can kind of change things up a little bit and maybe have students write poems or stories trying to incorporate those words and have other students guess on them. So that would be one. And then also another one is maybe having the game, it's called like Hitchhiker or something, that's kind of fun. Having a person act out a word when they're getting on the car and then becoming the driver and trying to guess that word. So there are lots of different things that you can do in order to incorporate writing in other curriculums, so that's pretty fun. Writing to learn inspires me to write more on my own. So when I am writing to learn, I think, this project, this is what I'm trying to do, and then it makes me think, how could I incorporate writing into other aspects of my life? And I think that it's important, as we talked about earlier, to make people understand that everyone is a writer. And so you can bring up how writing to learn has connections to their life. As a student who spends lots of learning time on the computer and a teacher who uses many tech tools to design and deliver my courses, I have benefited a great deal from the innovations that technology has provided. I have a reciprocal relationship with technology. It gives me the opportunity to learn and then share what I learn with other people. It's important to realize that only when we pay attention to how we learn can we really know how to teach. Thank you.